Hey attorneys, Anita Tallman here from Social Firestarter. I get a question a lot about whether an attorney should do a Google paid ad or a Facebook ad. So just wanted to throw out a couple of things that you should factor in with trying to decide between the two. One thing is your daily ad spend. From what I'm seeing, Facebook ads is going to have a lower daily ad spend that you do in Google. And Google has two different ads that you can choose from. So first let's talk about daily ad spend. This is in general, I'm seeing that Facebook is going to be a lower daily ad spend. And I would guess it's because, well, no one's going to Facebook to look for an attorney, right? They are going to Facebook for all these other reasons. But when you run an ad, you kind of have an idea of who your potential client is. So the goal is to determine that, and that could be based on gender, where they're located, where they have visited, their interest groups, all kinds of different factors. And what you want to do is put your ad in front of somebody who could be your potential client because they may not be going to Facebook to look for an attorney, but they do need an attorney. With Google, the reason why it'd be more expensive for a daily ad spend is that, remember, you only see a Google ad because you've searched for it. So people are actually putting in the specific type of attorney they're looking for, and then they see their Google ad. So that's why it's going to be more expensive for a Google ad spend. Now, the other factor is the choices you have and the type of Facebook ad you run or the type of Google paid advertisement that you run. In Facebook, generally speaking, you're going to run a lead gen ad, and that's a straight ad, but there's also strategies that you can use in Facebook to run your different ads. Something I could talk to you further about, not something I'm going to talk about in this video. The other is Google, and Google now has the LSAs, right? That's now opened up for attorneys. LSAs are your local service ads or Google Screen, whatever you want to call them. Those are, when you do a search, are those three boxes that you see at the top of your search results that have the pictures of the attorney. It has the reviews, your ratings, it has the name of the firm. Those are LSAs. Underneath that is your Google AdWords or PPC. And then, of course, underneath that is the maps. PPC stands for pay-per-click. That's how you're charged. Now with LSA, it's different. You are charged pay per call. So we have seen some rates for pay per calls, but you don't really know how much you're going to be spending until you go through the actual process of setting up your LSA ad, which includes doing a background check. After you set that all up, you'll get some numbers to give you an idea of what you're going to be charged per call. But keep in mind that your ad spend on average is going to be higher because of that direct type of search the potential client is doing in opposed to Facebook. So now the question is, well, then which one should I do? Should I do an LSA? Should I do a Google AdWord? Or should I run some kind of an ad, paid ad in Facebook? Well, that would be a longer conversation. What I would need to know is a lot more, like what practice area are you in? For sure, certain practice areas do well on Facebook and they do better in a Google AdWord campaign. Also depends on your budget. I mean, maybe you can even run ads in both if you've got a high enough ad spend budget to do so. And that's ideal because you can see which one's got a better ROI. But it also would depend on what you are targeting, like what case type. Are you wanting to run a high level, kind of a general practice area ad, like for example, for criminal defense attorney or as a PI attorney or an estate planning attorney? Or are you going to niche down? Run an ad specifically on getting to do a will? Or are you going to run an ad specifically on slip and falls or premises liability? Or are you going to run an ad specifically on DUI, a bad drug, a theft or a drug crime? So depending if you're niching down will also depend on whether Facebook would be better or Google. So I know that doesn't help a lot, but at least gives you some factors to think about when you're trying to decide between the two. If you're still not sure and you've got a lot more questions, which I'm sure you do, feel free to reach out. I'm here to help. And I hope at least this little information I gave you was helpful.